อะไร
Hello.
All right. Welcome
Cut
to
that bit.
No, I won't. Hello, this is the Modern Samurai channel, and this is John Christian, and we spoke in one of the previous videos not about mosquitoes but about intuition.
Yeah.
And in today's video I would like to talk about or to know more about how you can build your own intuition with some exercises. So what do you suggest to people when they ask you, John, what can we do to listen to that inner voice, or how can we develop it?
Develop it, yeah. So just to recap a little bit on the first video that we made, you know, we all have intuition. It's just a wider sense perception of things than our normal 5 sense perception, which is basically just filters of limited information, where intuition is a direct knowing that we don't even have to think about or even believe in. We just know, and everybody's had that kind of experience. So often when I'm working with people that are especially dominantly left brain thinkers in the business world or something like that, I always ask,
For instance,
what kind of business do you mean?
I mean left brain people like,
Oh yeah, so we tend to be dominantly left brain when we're in a role where we need structure, mathematics, you know, all of the foundation building stuff. And if we go to right brain filter, it's about intuition, feelings, instinct, sixth sense, those kind of things. When the two hemispheres are balanced with each other, we actually come into in martial arts, we come into the hara or the Tao, depending on what philosophy you're thinking about. But we actually connect the two hemispheres of the brain with the breath in the stomach, and in the stomach we have what is called the tummy brain. So that we know through brain research now that the tummy brain actually has more influence over the thinking than the thinking does over it. So it's a much wider sense perception, as I said, that we all have, but it's delicate. It's like trying to make a fine wine or perfume out of our own energy in a listening process. So we're dominantly taught to be thinkers. When we go into thinking, all of our energy is focused outwards most often and not inwards at the same time. So we've lost contact with trusting our gut sixth sense feeling because of that cultural process and habit. So most of us think our lives, we don't think, breathe, feel, sense our life. As many indigenous people that I've spent time with trying to understand the function of intuition in us, they just know it because they've not learned to be dominant thinkers as we have. They've got this balance in the hemispheres of the brain with the hara, the tummy. So obviously when it comes to martial arts especially, to develop the intuition is vitally important. That's why Bruce Lee said, "Be water." Right? Rather than just too much fire. When we go into thinking, too much fire. When we go into feelings, too much water. But when we balance those two things together, we have this wide sense perception instinct that most of us have seen with the masters that have practiced year in and year out, and they've achieved. They've got past left brain thinking, or this is the form and I've got to do it like this and do it like that. So the left brain's not in the way. So then they, whether they think this or not, they shift into this balance between left, right brain awareness and then expanded awareness, because the mind is not in the way, trying to think about the techniques of the matter. The practice has got us to that place of relaxing enough so the mind becomes more quiet, which means that our energy becomes more quiet within ourselves. So then we're much more sensitive to what's going on around us, and we're quicker. It's like when I'm training with Robert, and I go too left brain, I get whacked.
Yeah, but this is because you deserve it.
That's also because I deserve it. I do in that moment because I'm thinking too much. So, and other trainers that I work with, they say to me in that moment, John, you're thinking too much. Like, thank you very much. Right now I need to think because I'm trying to get past this first technique. But once I've got that, then we just relax and then we don't need to think about it. So that's an intuitive moment. So ways that I've found to improve my own sense of that, the feeling rather than the thinking of that intelligence of intuition within us.
So we're coming now to the exercises.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Is to breathe properly. So most people, because they think so much, their breath goes up like that, up, and the energy. Excuse the mosquitoes. So the breath is up and out. So now with all of my experience, what that means is psychologically, when I see that in a person, I know they're a dominant thinker. So their energy is coming out of their solar plexus, out of their center, and it's going out into the world, and we get distracted. So all these things distract us and steal our energy away in that moment. Okay? So a good practice and a simple practice is to practice abdominal breathing, which is the foundation of martial arts, and it's the foundation of yoga and many other arts like that. But still, most Western practices don't take the time for the breathing because they've only got an hour to teach or something like that. So it's all about technique rather than the essential. How do I bring this mind to a relaxed place as quick as I can so I'm connected holistically? My mind, my will, my heart, my feelings, my body are all by my focus doing the same thing energetically.
So do you suggest then,
Yeah.
does it matter which kind of breathing practice then people pick up to develop their intuition? Or
I think the important thing is that you get it in there.
so it doesn't matter which door you choose to step into the room?
No, I think,
or
okay, so what?
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do,
Okay.
exactly, yeah. And what I found in that process, because we're basically on the intuitive level, we're all the same, but on the personality, ego level, we're all different because we're doing different things with our energy. So we all have unique ways of connecting with ourselves. For some people, it's dance. Others, musicians I work with, it's their drumming. Others, it's art. Many martial arts, it's like, oh man, you know, when I find that place, you know, I'm in it. Then I become the champion in that moment, right? So it's all because of the breath. That's the most important key. Spiritually, spiritual terminology, the breath is God or good that we're letting into the body. So in spiritual terminology, God can't help us unless we're helping ourselves. So it's like we've got a contract on this earthly level with the intelligence of the universe that we sometimes call God or intuitive intelligence. And the contract is I need to do the work on this physical level to get the energy in the body and to feel that higher intelligence, not just think it. It needs to be experiential. What does it feel like to tune my body like an instrument so that I access that higher intelligence and all the skills that come with it, right? So it's a moment of grace then. So if I show you on the video, for those of you that haven't done this before, it's dead easy to put one hand on your tummy, and what I teach to children is imagine you've swallowed a coloured balloon. And what you're going to do is first you need to notice if you have a habit of breathing up and out. Most people have fear in their mind, so they breathe up and out because they don't want to feel the fear. That can become a lifetime's habit, then we're in trouble for the rest of our life.
Well, I have a question here.
Yeah.
But isn't this what you just showed?
Yeah.
Fear-based breathing, like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So if this is what a lot of guys tell me. I say, how are you feeling right now? I go, I think. No, that's how you're thinking. How do you actually feel? And they've got no idea of how to connect their mind to feel what they're feeling, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And there are lots of problems in their relationships with their wives because of that. And I call that the martial arts of relationships. So this is why this is essential. Right? So the point is to recognize the body's got this habit. So I teach the children, if you've got this habit, let's try and change that for you so you get more energy into your body. Then you immediately feel better, and you get more energy coming from the solar plexus up through the spinal column, out to all of the organs, through the central nervous system to the brain. So you're going to think more clearly, learn faster, because you're relaxed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does this mean if I do this,
Yeah.
I will ramp up also my intuition or my intuitive insights, or
Yeah. It's everything is going to improve in your life. This is my experience, right? As long as we are doing what is necessary in the physical body to connect with our own higher intuitive intelligence, then everything improves. Our relationships improve, our arts improve, our intellect improves, everything, because we're actually letting a higher intelligence into the brain that's a higher intelligence than the normal thinking process. Okay, so we're basically, again, in spiritual terminology, we're doing what we need to do to self-enlighten.
so is this actually more a highway, and it's not, some hidden paths?
Well said. Yeah.
But how can we normally? I think we all accessed this kind of intuitive intelligence, and we had this inner voice
Yeah.
also in very critical and stressful
Yes,
moments,
yes.
but we didn't listen to them,
Yeah.
or we hear them, but we didn't respect.
We didn't
that
respond.
voice, and we didn't respond. Yes.
Yeah, and that's
why is that?
because we're not listening. Simply said.
Okay.
We've lost the ability to know how to be in the driving seat of our own consciousness, and to understand that our body is the classroom for ourself and our life. Okay. So I started getting interested in intuition because of not listening, and the painful events I brought into my life as a result of not listening. And then the times when I did listen. So just to bring up one story, it was on the world news when I was taking a group through the Himalayas on a trek, and we were at a high point, and we were going to stay another night, and I got this strong intuitive impression, don't stay. So I told my Sherpas, we're not staying another night. Whoa, why so? What the problem? So I said, I just know we're not going to stay. So we left, and by the time we reached the helicopter pad to fly out to Kathmandu, the helicopters were going up the valley. So I asked, what's going on? And they said, you don't know? The campsite you were on has been wiped out by an avalanche. That's just one simple example of how I really learned through experience to trust that higher sense. And it's not a thinking process. When you're in the mind, it's the mind that actually stops us feeling that intuitive intelligence.
But everything you said makes perfect sense. But what the paradox here is, if I don't hear that inner voice in everyday life,
Yeah.
or in very simple circumstances,
Yeah.
which are, normal, how can I expect to hear it when my life is in danger, or when something like what you just mentioned is going to happen?
Yeah. Well, very, very often when our life is in danger, we do hear it, whether we recognize what we're hearing or not, because
point.
we've been shocked into being out of our mind, right? So it's so simple when you really think about it. Thinking is the only thing that gets in the way. So when we think too much, all the energy's up in the head. It's not connected to the solar plexus and the feeling. So we're not in the body and in that wider sense perception that we're all capable of. So, like I said many times, I've not reacted in the right moment when my inner voice says slow down, and I don't. crash.
Yeah.
And it's an expensive price. In relationships, going into a relationship and you know in your heart that little voice is saying, nah, this is not really for you, but the passions and the attraction.
It's like, oh, she looks that
Yeah,
gorgeous.
exactly.
And,
So you know, we blokes, you know, we're in there with we're in there with 2 feet, yeah, because the passion is louder than the intuition.
I know the hormones. I mean, yeah, it's actually the same. Yeah.
So, and then you know, I've done that and spent 4 years trying to get out of it. You know, and it's been hell and high water. As a coach, I've actually had people come to me and say, like, 40 years ago, I walked down the aisle and I knew I shouldn't have been doing it. You know, and here I am 40 years later. Can you advise me? How do I get out of this? Right. So, and they've been holding their breath for 40 years because they don't want to feel what they decided to do in that moment way back then. That's called karma. Instant karma. So
Which is lasting 40 years.
yeah,
Thank you.
or longer, or a lot longer. You know, it can last a lifetime. But this is the law of it's the law of cause and effect. So the law of cause and effect says whoever sets a cause in motion is bound by nature or God to see that energy, that motion through, because you set it in motion. The law of grace says if you realize, oh my God, I just made a mistake, and you correct it on every level of yourself as fast as you can, you've learnt the lesson and you don't need to keep repeating it. So most people keep repeating the same old lesson.
This is what I'm doing wrong.
Welcome to the human race. So to me, life is a school, the body's the classroom, the whole experience of our everyday life is the classroom, and it's the classroom between knowing, am I this higher mind, or am I just these thoughts that get me into trouble all over the place and lead me astray all over the place and get me distracted all over the place. So my energy's everywhere, but sitting with me in a place where I feel self-trust, self-confidence, relax, because I'm taking responsibility for doing so.
And okay, if I start, so to make a conclusion, if I start, if I want to start to develop my intuition, I can start with some breathing practices.
Definitely.
This is killing some mosquitoes. No, and from here on, I try to listen or to focus on my breath, and because the breath is slowing everything down in a way, I can probably hear that voice in a clearer way.
Yes.
Is this right?
Yes.
Okay. And what are the benefits? I mean, if I develop that intuition.
Well, we pretty much covered that just now. Everything is going to improve, you know. So I've been very fortunate to have a very blessed life, and I've walked in many levels of the social strata and talked to people about intuition, especially artists and musicians, like where do you get creativity come from? And they'll tell me, well, actually it was just there, it was like there, but I did the work to be able to play the instrument, or I do the work, we're doing the art, but it just comes through me. It's this moment of when I'm at peace and I'm not being in my ego, thinking it too much, or trying too hard, or looking for approval, looking for attention. When I'm in that place where I feel, I have to emphasize feel, not think. When the mind is quiet enough so I feel that I'm using my energy in the right way.
So if I put it in a very symbolic way, is it like being empty and letting everything through, for instance, a bamboo or a flute or something like that, and this thing that has to come from somewhere is going just through you? Is this an example?
And you know, most of our geniuses, I mean, electric light and all the inventions in the world that came to us came that way, by people that just found the way of tuning themselves in, and then that inspiration and that knowledge came. So in truth, we're all geniuses, but we've just been taught not to think we are. We're much more than just this little body, you know. So we've got to let the life into the body. Otherwise, if we're breathing up here like that, it's like I've put a quarter of a gallon into the tank and now I want to drive 1,000 miles. Right?
Yeah.
So, but if I know how to take responsibility for getting the right energy complete, then it's through getting it into the tank. And it's simple. As I was saying with the children, I just say to them, put your hand on your tummy. First, you've got to notice, you need to change this habit. So you've got to notice it mentally. You're telling your body, do this. That's hard work. Only this much energy, the upper lung getting energy. So now tell your body, relax, like a rag doll or a toy that you've got, a soft toy. So you've got to think, relax, instead of like this. So you relax down. Then the mind's got to come into the tummy. So imagine this balloon, and what you're going to do is blow that balloon up as you breathe in, so your tummy comes out. And as you breathe out, you're going to let the balloon down, but you're going to relax down as you do so. So it's in, tummy out, out, tummy in. So when you're sufficient at the practice of that, you can do what's called a fire breath in yoga, or the shining skull, they also call it, because you're getting more prana, life force, chi, energy into the boiler house. It's coming up through all of the system into the brain. The brain gets the light of the spirit or the breath, and it relaxes. And if you really go deep into that practice, as I do every morning, an hour, half an hour, go deep into the practice, there's points where the mind disappears. You don't even have to try. It just disappears because the breath or the spirit is in the body, moving in the right way to allow it. So you can do the fire breath is simply like, I'll turn sideways so it looks like this.
But how do you know that the energy moves up, not?
It goes both ways, guys.
Yeah.
So,
So there are some benefits as well.
definitely.
I mean,
But that's an important point, what Robert said. So the Chinese masters that really know this, and the yogic masters, and I'm sure martial art masters too, know that the greatest challenge for us is to transform the fires of passion rather than allow the energy of the life force to go out of the body. So the Chinese masters say only the fool wastes his seed in once in every 100 times in masturbation. Right, very important.
We started with intuition and now we ended the conversation with masturbation.
So it's the same energy. When we know how to conserve that energy and also build more of it, and we know how to relax the mind, it flows up through the spine into the brain. It's not being wasted just through the heat and the fire of passion, getting you into trouble because you're following that, not your intuition.
Maybe a stupid question. So if we do that breath work, so this is also influencing your sex life then?
Absolutely. Everything improves. You know, the energy that produces enlightenment, that means the harmonization of the brain and the awakening of the pineal gland, the eye of light in the body, that same energy is our sexual energy. The difference is we only get to experience that or know that if we're bringing the energy up and allowing it to reach the brain instead of only reach our balls.
Yeah, but in my opinion, the chakras are starting down there.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Right? So you got to, you know, the first fire is like a rocket on a launching pad. You know, if you haven't, we all know this, right? If the mind is not there, the energy's not there. So if you were trying to get to the moon, it's like, because there's no fire in the body to get it there. But if you know how to work in the body, like the Chinese masters say, you've got to get the energy in the body first, and then you've got to know how to move it correctly through all the centers of the body. So all these centers become more alive, more vibrant. Your immune system becomes stronger. You feel great, and it's coming to the brain. Then you're not a victim of your passions and your sexuality. You're intuitively guided, so you make less mistakes with your passions.
All right. So we came from intuition to sexual education. Unfortunately, we have to stop because we have already 25 minutes.
Okay. All right. But just remember, guys, I'm talking about the same thing, actually. You know, that's a mistake we make to try and separate it. You can't separate intuition from your sexuality, because your intuition is telling you all the time, be careful, lads, don't go there. This is not for you. But we don't listen. And then we're in trouble.
Oh, I'm always listening. Oh, hearing. This is interesting. I have to try it.
So let's finish on this note, right? This is how you know you've got intuition. If I ask you, when you find yourself thinking in stress or any of those manners, in fear, and you just stop, breathe, relax, and enjoy that moment instead of fight it, and ask yourself, do I really want to be thinking like this? I know what you're going to hear. Let me ask Robert, in a moment when you're in stress.
I had a very similar experience a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I started my day very stressful.
Yeah.
Everything went wrong.
Yeah.
And I had tons of things to do and to accomplish. And then I said, fuck it.
Yeah.
First I will drink a coffee with my coworker,
Right.
sit down for 5 minutes, and then everything went smoothly.
Okay, so my question for you then is, if you'd have stopped earlier and asked yourself, do I really want to be thinking like this, what would your answer have been?
Again?
If I asked you in that moment,
when I was drinking the
do you really?
coffee.
I've been waiting for this moment.
So many mosquitoes.
So, if I asked you in that moment, if you stopped quicker and ask yourself, do I really want to be thinking like this? What would you have heard?
No, of course not.
Do I really want to be feeling like this?
No.
Do I really want to be tempted to speak like this?
No.
Do I really want to behave like this?
No.
There's your answer. That's intuition. That's our real intelligence speaking to us, not the intelligence that society, an unenlightened education system and society has taught us to think is intelligence. That's just the tip of the iceberg. And basically, when you open the mind's eye, it means nothing. It means nothing other than listen to your intuition, and then you're a completely different instrument of life and intelligence.
Perfect.
Yeah.
John, thank you very much. And for the viewers, I will put on the end screen the interview I made with John previously, where we are talking also about intuition and other aspects of it.
Yeah, and if you want to chat with me or anything, my website is www.lifebalanceportal.com. Email john@lifebalanceportal.com.
And he's also conducting workshops about intuition.
Yeah, and I do one-on-one intuitive sessions as well.
Perfect. John, thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert, for the opportunity.
You have a mosquito here.
I love that one. There wasn't one there really. I just want to whack him.
Yeah.